I welcome all of you to the video lecture series on computational fluid dynamics. The title of this lecture is How CFD Analysis Work. This corresponds to the chapter 1 on introduction of the companion book. These are the details of the book. And the introduction chapter corresponds to the part 1 of this book on introduction and essentials. So in the introduction, there is a section on how CFD works. And corresponding to these sections, there are 3 subsections. And the present lecture is focused towards how CFD application works. I'll present the CFD analysis with the help of 2 problems, one corresponding to the unsteady state conduction and the second corresponding to unsteady fluid dynamics. This slide shows the various steps involved in CFD analysis. Whenever we do a CFD application, either through our in-house code or from a CFD software, we get big data and we have to do the job of data analytics. We have to analyze the data corresponding to the flow properties and engineering parameters. We have to understand that in a fluid dynamics problem, which region of the computational domain has most of the action. So we have to properly collect the spatial and temporal variations of flow properties and engineering parameters. This is the first step of CFD analysis. Once we have collected the proper data, then we need to generate various type of scientifically exciting movie corresponding to the flow properties and engineering relevant movies corresponding to engineering parameters, such as lift force and drag force. Once we have created these movies are like silent movies, and we need to give voice to these movies with the help of CFD analysis. We have to build up a story which is scientifically exciting and engineering relevant for the movie which has been fluid dynamic movie developed in the step 2. So the step 3 corresponds to cause and effect based analysis of the result with the help of the 2 types of fluid dynamics movie to come up with a fluid dynamic story of the problem under investigation. These are the 2 problems which will be taken, and the movies will be shown to you for these 2 problems. The first problem corresponds to a heat conduction problem for electronic cooling, and the second problem corresponds to a fluid dynamics problem for flow across the pillars of the bridge. Corresponding to this problem, I will show you the fluid dynamic movie, and with the help of, I'll show you both the type of movies, scientifically exciting movie as well as engineering relevant movie. Both the movies will be played synchronized in time, and then I'll present a cause and effect based analysis for these 2 problems. The first problem is on unsteady heat conduction. This figure shows you the schematic corresponding to the heat conduction problem for electronic cooling. This problem has been taken as from the exercise problem of the classic heat transfer book by Incroper and David. This corresponds to a electronic device. So the left hand side shows an electronic chip which is very long. Now, if the chip is very long and this chip is dissipating a heat flux, which is denoted here by QW, and this, what is shown here as aluminum plate is a heat sink. So the electronic chip is connected with a aluminum plate which acts as a heat sink. Now, for better heat dissipation, a microchannel or a groove is this is the channel corresponds to the groove inside the aluminum plate, and this is the channel corresponding to the upper half of the channel aluminum plate, and this is the lower half of the aluminum plate along with the channel. Note that the channel is on the lower part of the upper aluminum plate and on the upper part of the lower aluminum plate. Now, we are considering a situation where this aluminum plate is very long. So under this situation, when you have this type of geometrical arrangement of aluminum plate along with the groove, then it can be realized from our basic understanding of heat transfer. Also, we need to know that the right wall of the aluminum plate, this wall, of the aluminum plate is insulated. So the heat which is coming from this side will pass through the aluminum plate, and it cannot go out from the right side, this surface, since this surface is insulated. And from the geometrical arrangement of the problem, we understand that if you have a geometrical arrangement like this, then the results are symmetric from the upper part of the aluminum plate and the lower half of the aluminum plate. To demonstrate you for this problem, that if you plot the steady state temperature distribution, the steady state temperature distribution appears like this. So you can clearly see the color here corresponds to the temperature contour, where the red color corresponds to the temperature of around 31 degrees centigrade, and the blue color corresponds to a temperature of 15 degrees centigrade. As shown here. So this is the 15 degrees centigrade, and the red color corresponds to 31 degrees centigrade. So you can see the steady state temperature distribution, and you can see, and along with the steady state temperature distribution, this figure also shows certain lines which are called as heat lines, along which the heat flux is tangential along this heat line. So these heat lines are like acting like the pathway on which the heat is flowing. Okay, so you can see that the temperature distribution on the upper half of the aluminum plate, the lower half of the aluminum plate is symmetric. So what we do in this problem is, once we realize there is a symmetry in the temperature distribution, then corresponding to that, we consider only one module of this aluminum plate. You can either take an upper half of the aluminum plate or the lower half of the aluminum plate. And we realize that from this problem, that since the temperature distribution is symmetric on this bottom surface, so here we have a symmetric adiabat, and we are considering that this chip is very long, so the upper wall will also have a symmetry adiabat. So when you have a symmetric heat transfer in this case will mean dt by dy is equals to 0, and dt by dy 0 means it's like an insulated condition, so we call it as symmetric adiabat. So on the upper wall and lower wall, the fact that the temperature distribution is symmetric, because we have large number of upper and lower half of the plate attached to each other in this configurations. So we take only the one module of this aluminum plate, and we do a CFD analysis for this problem. So note that the boundary conditions are such. This is an aluminum plate. So your computational domain is an aluminum plate, which is not exactly rectangle because you have a groove also. So whatever is shown through this white color corresponds to the aluminum plate for which heat conduction simulations are done. And the boundary conditions are such that on the left boundary, you have a constant heat flux boundary condition. The top wall, bottom wall, you have a adiabat or dt by dy is equals to 0. The right wall, it's an insulated. You have insulated in this problem, the right wall has been insulated. So you have dt by dx equals to 0. Now in this problem, just I would like to draw your attention on the dimensions of the plate. This module of the aluminum plate, the length of the aluminum plate is 20 mm by 10 mm, that is 2 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So you can realize that this aluminum plate is very small. Also, you need to realize that what is the dimension of the channel? The channel dimension is 8 mm by 5 mm. The length of the channel is 8 mm and the height of the channel is 5 mm. The amount of heat flux which is dissipated from the electronic chip is 10 to the power 5 watt per meter square or 100 kilowatt per meter square. The convective heat transfer of the water flowing through this channel seems it corresponds to a force convection, where convective heat transfer coefficient is 5000 watt per meter square Kelvin. The water flowing through the channel is having a temperature of 15 degrees centigrade. Now, we solve this problem considering the heat conduction, where on along with the walls of aluminum plate also, we have to also apply the boundary condition at the water aluminum plate interface. So this boundary condition on these walls corresponds to a convective heat transfer boundary conditions, where we apply one. Let's suppose if you apply in this wall, it will be minus k dt by dx equals to h t at wall minus t infinity. So using a convective boundary conditions, note that we are not simulating the convection in this case, and we are applying the convective heat transfer boundary condition and solving it as a pure heat conduction problem. So we start this simulation. I had mentioned earlier that we know the first picture from the initial condition and boundary conditions. So the initial temperature of this aluminum plate is same as that of the water. The aluminum plate is also at 15 degrees centigrade. The water is also at 15 degrees centigrade. And the chip is dissipating 100 kilowatt per meter square. So note that if you multiply this heat flux with the height of the aluminum plate, that is 10 to the power 5 watt per meter square multiplied by the height of the aluminum plate is 1 centimeter. And then you can get basically what we are doing is that this is the amount of heat which is coming, which is taken by the aluminum plate per unit length of the aluminum plate perpendicular to this board. So from this calculation, where when you take the product of the heat flux with the height of the aluminum plate, you get 1000 watt per meter square. Sorry, 1000 watt per meter dimension of this aluminum plate perpendicular to the plane in which this aluminum plate is shown. So 1000 watt amount of 1000 joule per second is entering into this aluminum plate, considering the dimension of the aluminum plate perpendicular to this plane as unity. And this 1000 watt, as time progresses, initially all the 1000 watt is not taken by the water in the channel. So if you apply first law of thermodynamics, some part of the heat of which is coming inside this aluminum plate is taken by this water, and the remaining part is used to increase its internal energy. So initially there is change in internal energy, and due to the change in internal energy, there is change in the temperature of the aluminum plate. Slowly, as the time progresses, the amount of heat which is taken by the water in the channel increases, and it reaches to a steady state when all the heat which is entering into this aluminum plate is taken by the water in the channel. So then we reach to a situation where the storage of internal energy becomes zero, and there is no change in the temperature, which will be shown in the next slide. So in the next slide, I am showing you a movie corresponding to the temperature distribution. I will show you both the type of movies that I mentioned earlier: scientifically exciting movie and engineering relevant movie. The actor for the scientifically exciting movie will be the temperature, and the actor for the engineering relevant movie will be the rate of heat transfer. As shown here, this is the rate of heat transfer entering on the west wall of the channel. This is the rate of heat transfer entering on the east wall of the channel. This is the rate of heat transfer entering on the north wall of the channel. So this slide shows the schematic as shown in the previous slide. And this here I will show you the animation corresponding. So this is a channel, and this is the aluminum plate. So here right now this is the first picture, and corresponding to the first picture, the temperature everywhere in the aluminum plate is 15 degrees centigrade. So this movie I will call it as a scientifically exciting movie, and this movie I will call it as a engineering relevant movie. Here the actor is the rate of heat transfer, and the rate of heat transfer corresponding to west wall, north wall, east wall of the channel is shown here. And here the pink color hue corresponds to the summation of all these three heat fluxes. So this is the total amount of heat which is entering into this channel at various time instants. So this figure shows the temporal variation of rate of heat transfer on the west wall, east wall, north wall of the channel, and the summation of all these three, which is represented here by Q. So I'll play a movie which is synchronized in time. The top movie corresponds to the temperature distribution along with heat lines, and the bottom movie corresponds to the temporal variation of rate of heat transfer. So you can see from here that at a, let us suppose, time instant corresponding to 5 seconds, this is the temperature distribution which you see here, where near to the left wall, the temperature is 23 degrees centigrade, and near to the right half, you see a temperature of close to 15 degrees centigrade. And as we proceed further, at 10 degree, time is equals to 10 seconds, you can see a temperature distribution near to the left wall is close to 30 degrees centigrade. Somewhere here you can observe that the temperature here is the yellow color corresponding to 26 degrees centigrade. And on the back side, you see a temperature distribution of 15 degrees centigrade. So now you can see the temperature gradient near to the left wall, top wall, and right wall of the channel. So on the right wall of the channel or the east wall of the channel, you see it's mostly blue. So the temperature gradient is small. And you find that the large temperature gradient is relatively as compared to the east wall. On the west wall and the north wall, the temperature gradients are larger. Note that the lines which are shown here are called as heat lines, and they correspond to the path or road for the transport of heat. So you can see that the heat which is entering, let us suppose on the bottom half of the aluminum plate, goes straight to the west wall. The heat which is leaving from the upper half of the left wall, part of it goes to the top wall, and some part of it goes to the east wall. So when we plot the rate of heat transfer from the various wall, we observe that the rate of heat transfer on the east wall, which is shown here by yellow color, QE, is minimum, and the rate of heat transfer from the north and the west wall are almost same. And if you see the summation of all these three heat fluxes is the total heat instantaneous rate of heat transfer, which is taken by the water in the channel. You can see that this total rate of heat transfer increases and it asymptotes to a value which corresponds to the 1000 watt. Note that this 1000 watt is corresponding to this Q in. This Q in I had mentioned in the previous slide. I'll show you. Q in is equals to 1000 watt. Now you can see that asymptotic value of the variation of this total convective transfer, instantaneous convective transfer, it asymptotes to that 1000 watt. So this corresponds to a steady state situation where the total amount of heat which is entering from the Q in becomes equal to the summation of all this. I'll play this movie once again. This is the temperature distribution at around 12 seconds. Sorry. So you can see the temperature distribution, and finally you can see that the picture has stopped changing. Then it reaches to the steady state situation. Initially there is large change in the temperature, and when the rate of heat transfer asymptotes, then the change in the temperature also gradually stops changing, and we get a steady state picture. This is a movie where the top movie corresponds to the scientifically exciting movie, corresponding to where the actors are the temperature, and so here what we are drawing here is called as temperature contours. So once we get the data of the temperature distribution, we use that data, discrete data, it's like a grid point or pixelized representation of temperature to plot this temperature contours. And this heat line is analogous to streamline. Like in streamline, denote you the direction of the flow. The heat line indicates the direction of the heat flow. This is at various time instant as shown here at t is equals to 2.5 second, 5 second, 10 second, and 20 second. This shows the picture of the instantaneous picture corresponding to the temperature contour and the heat line. And this picture, which has been shown as AB, this picture, the time instant corresponding to for this time instant, which are denoted here by, is presented in this figure as this corresponding to 2.5 second. So the picture, so this for at the A, B, C, D here corresponding to the time instant for which the contour has been shown in the upper figure. Now, from the heat conduction, let us move to the fluid dynamics problem. Now, one of the classical fluid dynamics problem is flow across a circular cylinder, or you can correlate it practically with a fluid dynamics problem, where if you stand in a bridge and if you watch the flow across a circular pillars of the bridge, then although in this situation, whenever you consider a free stream flow across a circular cylinder, this is an external flow problem, and in an external flow problem, the size of the domain is extremely large. However, when we do a computational simulations, we have to limit the size of the computational domain according to the so we do a domain size independent study and come up with the size of domain which can give us the realistic solution. So let us take a problem where this is corresponding to flow across a circular cylinder, where here the CL corresponds to the non-dimensional representation of the lift force called as lift coefficient, and CD corresponds to the non-dimensional representation of drag force called as drag coefficient. So this is like a circular pillar of the bridge of diameter D, and this is a non-dimensional representation for the governing parameter called as a Reynolds number, and these are the lift coefficient and the drag coefficient. So in this slide, the movie is shown, as I had mentioned, that the most of the action in the fluid mechanics problem occurs near to the solid surface. Because if there is no solid surface, there is no action in the problem, because the fluid which is coming with a velocity of u infinity, if there is no solid surface, it will move and you will have a uniform flow. Now, so you will see that if you draw the velocity vector, you can see the arrows which are always horizontal and of same size. It's a uniform flow. However, whenever you have a solid surface, which is either stationary or it is in motion, then the action in the fluid mechanics problem starts. And most of the action occurs near to the solid surface. So whenever we make a movie to develop an understanding, scientific understanding, and correlate with an engineering information, we try to zoom to, although we have data for the complete computational domain, we zoom to certain region near to the solid surface where most of the fluid dynamic action is occurring. So here, the movie which I am showing you corresponds to as the region which is shown here by red rectangular region. And as compared to the previous movie, I would draw your attention that the previous movie was starting from the initial condition. So I had shown you the previous movie on heat conduction from time t is equals to 0 till it reaches to the steady state condition. However, in this case, I am showing you a clip of movie corresponding to a state which is called as a periodic state, because this is a problem where the Reynolds number is 100, and when you consider flow across a circle at a Reynolds number of 100, the flow reaches to a state which is not a steady state, it's a periodic state. So there is a picture which repeats after certain time periods. So in fluid mechanics, we can have either a steady flow or we can have an unsteady flow, and periodic flow is a special case of unsteady flow. So when you do this simulation, initially there is some initial transient, and then you observe that as shown in the below figure, if the yellow dotted line corresponds to the lift coefficient, and its value is shown on the left axis, varying from plus 0.3 to minus 0.3. The blue solid line corresponds to drag coefficient. Its value varies from 1.4 to 1.392. So you can see that the lift coefficient varies from a positive values to negative value. And once the flow reaches to a periodic state, you can see that the lift coefficient and drag coefficient, the nature of variation is like a sinusoidal curve. And there is a time period, you can see that this drag coefficient signal repeats with the same time period. So this is a movie which I'll show you for temporal variation of lift coefficient and drag coefficient at periodic state. Now this two movie which I am showing, as compared to heat conduction, in heat conduction you have only one variable, one actor corresponding to temperature. But when you move to fluid mechanics, then you have the velocity and pressure. And fluid mechanics is much more complicated as compared to heat conduction. So if you play the movie of the velocities and pressure, you do not get the complete story of the complete information about the flow. So there are certain derived parameters which you might have studied in your undergraduate course on fluid mechanics, like vorticity, which gives us an idea about the rotation of the fluid locally in various parts of the domain. So here, the movie which will be shown to you, there are two things which are presented here. The color corresponds to the vorticity country. And so you can see that the vorticity, red color corresponds to plus 10 and the blue color corresponds to minus 10. So the vorticity plus and minus value denote the rotation. And you know that rotation, the positive value, normally we take anti-clockwise rotation as positive and clockwise rotation as negative. So locally you can see that in this region, the fluid is rotating locally in clockwise direction, and when you have a red color here, it's rotating in anti-clockwise direction. And most of the rotations you can see is near to the solid surface. When you move further away, you can see that the magnitude of rotation denoted by the magnitude of the vorticity becomes smaller. In this movie, the color corresponds to the pressure contour and the line corresponds to the streamline. So you can see, and here there are two things: velocity vectors and the vorticity contour. Here, I'm showing you again the pressure contour and the streamline. And from the streamline, you can get an idea about the direction of the flow. I will show you in this, as far as this figure is concerned. The direction of rotation is, in this case, there is a phenomenon which occurs, which is called as flow separation. And when the flow separates, the streamline separates from the, you can see initially the streamline is passing through the solid surface, as you see here. But from here you start seeing that it separates, it goes like this. Now when the streamline has separated, the fluid in this region also tries to move. Let me show you by a different color. The fluid in this region also tries to move in this direction, but again it turns here, and then there is a rotation in the clockwise direction. You can see that in this case the vortex is, the direction of this vortex is clockwise, and this is the, so in this case there is a flow separation happening and there is a vortex formation happening. In this picture, the vortex which is shown, it's a clockwise vortex. Now I'll play the movie and then I will discuss further. This is a movie, I'll repeat again, this corresponds to a clip of the movie corresponding to the periodic state as compared to the transient state which I had shown for heat conduction. You can see that there is a vortex formation and it forms alternatively from Now the vortex is forming on the bottom half. It's growing, and then alternatively, now the vortex is forming on the top half. Now it is forming on the bottom half. Then it is again forming on the top half. Alternatively, a vortex is formed, it grows in size and then detaches from the rear surface of the cylinder. This is called as vortex shedding. So I have mentioned in my earlier lecture that in a movie there are actors and there are characters. In this movie, the actor which is shown here corresponds to the pressure control. And the character which is being discussed here is a flow separation, vortex formation, and vortex shedding. These are the character of the flow structure, which are used to give voice to the silent fluid dynamic mode. Note that the dark blue region on the front half of the cylinder, you can see that the color is red, and the red color corresponds to a pressure of, let us say, the red color corresponds to a pressure of 0.56. And on the rear side of the cylinder, you can see that the color corresponds to a blue color. Blue corresponds to the minus 0.4. So you can see that from this color distribution on the front half versus rear half of the cylinder. On the front half of the cylinder, you have larger pressure, and on the rear half of the cylinder, you have a small pressure. So there is a, due to the larger pressure on the front half, there is a net force which acts in the flow direction and which leads to this drag force. And the drag force is shown here varying from 1.4 to around 1.392. The range of variation of CD, you can drag coefficient, you can see it's very small. However, as far as lift force is concerned, if you first initially we had compared with front half and rear half. Now let us compare the pressure distribution on the top half and bottom half. You can see, let me stop the movie at certain location. Now here you can see that the CL is, focus your attention to this yellow curve, and this yellow curve corresponds to lift coefficient, and in the lift coefficient at this time instant, the lift coefficient is minus 0.3. Minus lift coefficient means the lift force is acting in the downward direction. The positive value means upward direction. So if you look into the picture corresponding to this time instant, what you realize is, if we compare the pressure distribution on the top half of the cylinder versus the bottom half, you can see that on the bottom half you have a darker blue region, and on the top half you have a lighter blue region. The darker blue region corresponds to a smaller pressure as compared to the lighter blue region. So you observe at this time instant, the pressure is smaller on the bottom half, and then when the pressure is smaller on the bottom half, you have a net lift coefficient which is a downward. Similarly, you can correlate the pressure at different time instance with the lift coefficient. What I'm trying to show you here is that this lift coefficient and drag coefficient are the effect, and the cause of the nature of the lift coefficient as positive and negative. The answer to the cause comes from this scientifically exciting movie where the actor corresponds to the pressure contours. You can also compare the vorticity distribution in this case, where you can see that due to the flow separation from the top half, I have presented here that you get a clockwise vortex, I have discussed earlier. Due to the clockwise vortex, you can see that the blue region of the vorticity corresponds to the negative value of vorticity, which corresponds to clockwise vortex. Similarly, there is a anti-clockwise vortex which is formed. Let me show it to you. You can see in this case, when the flow separates on the lower half, in this case, the flow is separating on the lower half, then the vortex which is formed, now the vortex is in the anti-clockwise direction. Alternatively, clockwise and anti-clockwise vortex are formed, and this anti-clockwise vortex is shown here by red color. So the movie corresponding to the vorticity, velocity vectors, pressure contour, this gives us scientific information. This gives the flow physics, the science of the fluid mechanics, and the bottom movie corresponds to the corresponding to the lift coefficient and drag coefficient, which are the engineering parameters. They give us the engineering relevant. So they are shown here. So this movie corresponds to the engineering relevant movie, and this two movie corresponds to the scientifically exciting movie. Note that in a two-dimensional problem, the scientifically exciting movie is a two-dimensional. You get a picture where the color is varying in two dimensions. Whereas the engineering relevant movie is the dimension of the engineering relevant movie is one-dimensional less. For a two-dimensional problem, you can see that the lift coefficient is varying as a point on a line. It's like a one-dimensional movie. Engineering relevant movie are one-dimensional less than the scientifically exciting movie. This slide shows you the instantaneous picture corresponding to 4 different time instants, at which the lift coefficient is and drag coefficient are shown here by A, B, C, D as shown here. This is the corresponding to the A, which is shown here. This is the vorticity contour and the velocity vector, and this is the pressure contour and the streamline. This is the time instant corresponding to. This E corresponding to the maximum lift force. The D corresponds to the minimum lift force. Here the lift coefficient is 0.3. Here the lift coefficient. So note that in this figure, if you compare the pressure, here the lift coefficient is plus 0.3. Plus 0.3 means the lift force is acting in the upward direction. Now, if you compare the pressure distribution on the lower half and the upper half, you can see that the upper half is exposed to, on a much larger region, the blue, dark blue region. So you can see that by looking into the pressure near to the top half versus bottom half, you can realize on the top half you have a low pressure. So the net lift force is vertically upward in this case. I can show like this, that the net lift force in this case will be vertically upward. Whereas in this case, on the lower half, pressure is less, so you will have a vertically downward lift force, which is shown here by B corresponds to plus 0.3 vertically upward lift force, and D corresponds to minus 0.3 downward lift force, which you can correlate with this pressure distribution. So this way we draw both the types of movies synchronized in time and try to correlate the effect, the engineering effect corresponding to lift and drag force with the flow structures corresponding to pressure contour, velocity vectors, and the vorticity. Note that the role of CFD is not only limited to creating scientifically exciting fluid dynamic movie of flow properties, but also to create engineering relevant movie of engineering parameters for a cause and effect based comprehensive analysis of various heat and fluid flow situations. So basically through this analysis, we try to develop a story from the silent fluid dynamic movie which has been generated from the after the CFD application using a software and an in-house code. Thank you for your attention. I have come to the end of this lecture on how CFD analysis works. You can see the detail of this, more detail on this video in the chapter 2 of this book, Introduction to Computational Fluid Dynamics Development Application. Thank you for it.